Namaskar and welcome to my 9 p.m. live. Okay, now today's topic is important, and today's topic is the Election Commission of India. ठीक है ना? And a lot have been said about Election Commission. Everybody has an opinion about Election Commission, and a lot of questioning in the decision of what in most of the decisions that the Election Commission have taken. A lot of questions about. Are they fair? Are they pro government? Are they favoring a particular dispensation? A lot of questions. So that's number one, and that's something that we'll cover today. The second thing is about the 17 Form 17C. Oh, it has been spoken about, and today, let me tell you, before I just get into the show, let me tell you there was a press note released by the Election Commission of India, wherein they said that the Election Commission releases absolute numbers of voters for all completed phases, reiterates that nobody can change data of votes polled, share on the poll day with polling agents of all candidates through Form 17C. What they are saying is, about this polling agent, no, they sign every form. So you can't change the numbers. You can come back and check, is the polling agent, has they signed it, and are these the original signature of your polling agent? So that's what they say. They say that the voter turnout data has been available with candidates and 24/7 on voter turnout app for citizens at large. So what they are saying is essentially that they have released absolute numbers of voters booth wise, and yeah, that's the scene. So good, not bad, good if they have released numbers. But then the $1 million question, all over this, for the last one and a half months that we are seeing why 2.5 months that we've seen that we have seen these campaigns. Have the EC acted fair? Have they done their jobs? Now, I requested Neelu Vyas to join our show today. She's been very busy because she's been into multiple channels. She's doing shows in multiple digital channels. So I'm very grateful she's taken out time to come and talk to us. See, Neelu has been going through. Neelu has been researching. Neelu has been doing a lot of study on the Election Commission of India. And she has been speaking a lot about the Election Commission of India. So, like we always do in our show, got another expert to talk about Election Commission, and let's ask her all the questions that we need to. Let's get right into the show. Neelu, thank you so much for joining. And like I told my audience, you've been very, very busy. You've been doing multiple shows, and we see most of your shows. Like I always say, we've got a lot of fans in your fans in our channel. So, Neelu, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Before I get into Election Commission and what they're doing and all that, Neelu, what does a common Indian citizen expect from the Election Commission? What should he or she be expecting?
If you individually ask me my opinion, the change which I felt, like I stay in Faridabad, which is part of Haryana, which went to polls today. I went to cast my vote, though my finger has not been very artistically done. The poll guy actually painted, in a very ugly manner. But that's on a lighter vein. But the point is that the kind of change which I saw with the people who were coming out of the polling booth, they all started talking once they came out of the booth कि हमारा वोट ठीक से पड़ा या नहीं पड़ा, हमारी पर्ची ठीक से निकली या नहीं निकली. This was never the refrain. This was not the refrain. Not too much heard in 2019 or 2014 or before that. But this time, the awareness amongst the citizens, that is the catchword. That the people feel that, we have to ensure that our vote has been cast. So this is one big change which I saw, and I also spoke to a few people just to get a pulse of what the people are thinking. So I, in fact, just off the record, I started talking to people that, did you check your slip? Did you ensure that you press the right button? So most of the people were very, very conscious, and they did admit to the fact that earlier they were not so conscious. So this has got to do with a high exponential distrust which has crept in with the election commission. And I don't want to mince words, Sujit, on your show, because I know lots of people would be watching the show. And I, in my opinion, feel that 2024, I think the biggest story of the year is the mistrust in the election commission, much bigger than Modi, much bigger than BJP's victory. But I think the biggest story of 2024 elections is the mistrust and the distrust in a constitutional body like election commission, and it's very, very unfortunate.
Nilu, you said BJP's victory. So have you
I don't know.
Acha, what we are essentially talking about, Nilu, if I understand right, is justice is not just about being done. Justice is also should be seen done. That's what we talk about here. So it's not just about having press conferences and sending press releases where the election commission says that, in fact, one of the statement they made is commission notes the pattern of false narrative and mischievous designs to vitiate electoral process. See, all this is TK. I mean, they're getting cut up and they're reacting like this. TK. Chalo, one understands. But the problem, what the election commission needs to understand is like the fact that they should be doing a fair job. But more importantly, it should also be seen as they're doing a fair job. Is there some problem in terms of even what they are communicating to the people, the way the people see them?
I think, Sujit, unfortunately, it's just not one problem, but a bountiful of problems which you see. And if you want to see, I will underline that sentence, that if you want to see, if election commission says that, this is a false narrative which is spread by the people, this like yesterday what happened in Supreme Court, that the application is based on suspicion, we have no room for doubt, then I'm sorry, the election commission is talking in the language of the ruling party, which is BJP. I'm really sorry to say that. But uh, but look at what election commission has been doing, and I'm not going to take you back very far. Just imagine and think about the day when the election dates were announced. What all happened on that day? There were big claims made by Rajiv Kumar, who's the chief election commissioner. He went into he descended into his poetic self. He started reciting verses, and I still remember, and I'm going to quote that particular verse which I noted down, which really hits my head, and that was, अधूरी हसरतों का इल्जाम हर बार हम पर लगाना ठीक नहीं, वफा खुद ही नहीं, और वफा वफा खुद से नहीं होती, खता ईवीएम से करते हैं. Now this is the couplet which he used, which means that election commission is always at the receiving end. But the point is that when he recites verses like this, he also needs to introspect. Today, when he went to cast his vote, Rajiv Kumar, I don't have a personal grudge against Rajiv Kumar, but look at the language which he uses, look at the tone and tenor in which he talks. Today, when he went to cast his vote, he came out, the ANI cameras were present, and he was asked that, Supreme Court yesterday declined to say anything on Form 17C. What was his reply? He says that, I will expose the people who have been raising doubts and suspicions. एक दिन हम जरूर इस बात का खुलासा करेंगे. Now, what does he mean? Is he trying to tell the people of the country that, look, you are not supposed to suspect, you are not supposed to raise doubts? So are we living in a democratic country, or is Rajiv Kumar thinking that he's a constitutional head and he's much bigger than the prime minister now, and he can tell the citizens of the country that, look, please don't doubt, whatever I'm doing is right? That's the way in which Rajiv Kumar has been speaking. And even on the day of the day when the dates were announced for the election, that day he made such tall claims. The day the dates are announced, just a few days later, an advisory is issued by the election commission which says that, we will not allow any party to use religious symbols. They will be dealt with strict action. Now, what has happened? What all have we seen? Mutton, machli, mughal. Today, all the boundaries were crossed by the prime minister, who used the word mujra. I don't want to elaborate too much on that, because I find it very condescending to use that word mujra in my conversation. But the point is that Rajiv Kumar has blindfolded himself to all the misdeeds of the ruling party. Now, when I say misdeeds, Sujit, it's not just one or two instances. Now, look at the inaction against the hate speeches. Look at the hate speeches of Yogi Adityanath. Look at the hate speeches of Prime Minister. Has Rajiv Kumar taken a single action? He couldn't even muster courage to send a direct notice to the prime minister. He sent a notice to JP Nadda. For Rahul Gandhi, he sends a notice to Mallikarjun Kharge. So he doesn't have the spine to even send a direct notice to the defaulters. So I mean, these are flagrant instances where Rajiv Kumar, he says something and he does something. So it's inaction over the hate speeches. Look at the track records of the violations of the model code of conduct. I have the figure with me, and I was just trying to, before your show, I was just writing down, the number. There are about 16 to 18 notices given, on the violations of model code of conduct, and most of them have been given to Congress. But BJP has been pulled up 2 or 3 times. BRS has been pulled up to once or twice. Aam Aadmi Party has been pulled up twice. Now, what does this show? Does it repose the faith? Will the people be able to repose their faith? Then, of course, apart from the inaction over hate speeches and the violations of the moral code of conduct, look at the kind of narrative which is being spread about the people who are raising doubts on EVMs, the people who are raising doubts on data manipulation. Look at the appointment procedure of the CEC itself. That itself has cast so many doubts. So, looking at all these things in entirety, Sujit, I feel that, I really don't know. I mean, how do you deal with an election commission which is totally biased? See, there are no evidences, there are no proofs, because everything happens, backroom, everything happens backstage. And many times, and look at the voter turnout data. Now, I was just looking at the voter turnout data, which we can, of course, speak at a later moment. At the end of the first phase, the voter turnout data, there was a delay of 11 days. At the end of the second phase, there was a delay of 6 days. At the end of the third phase, there was a delay of 4 days. Can Rajiv Kumar really explain what was he doing all this while? During the gap of those days, was the data being manipulated? If the people are doubting, are the people wrong? Would you call them troublemongers? Look at the kind of language which ECI's lawyer Maninder Singh yesterday used in the Supreme Court. He calls ADR troublemongers. He calls people who raise doubts as factories who are churning out false allegations. So what does one say about an election commission like that? And then to top it all, he uses poetic verses and he justifies his action. Now, today, rather than convincing people on EVMs, on data manipulation, because everybody has their doubt on their minds. And as I told you, like when I walked out of the polling booth today, everyone was talking about this. And I'm not mincing words. It's just not one or two people, Sujit. Many, many people were talking in the same vein कि पता नहीं हमारा वोट ठीक से पड़ा है या नहीं पड़ा है, हमारे वोट का क्या होगा? Was this the situation we had thought of? That is election commission, which is an independent body, which has immense powers under Article 324 of the Constitution. Its main job is to ensure free and fair election, to remove all the doubts, if there are at all, in the minds of the people. What kind of an election commission are we seeing in 2024?
Nilu, to be the devil's advocate, let's talk about Form 17C. ठीक है, Form 17C में what they said is, listen, if we put it up in the website, or the people may fudge it and it may cause discomfort or whatever. They used a typical word. They called it. Yeah, I mean, they called it. It may get discomfort for for many. I wanted to use that word, discomfort, because you are putting up a Form 17C. Chalo, theek hai na. Let's give them that. They say that, listen, हमने तो डाला था. We have put the numbers, the empirical data of election was put up on the app long back. You guys didn't watch it, see it. Okay. Now, if that's the case, is the election commission misunderstood, like the way they seem to be talking?
See, if the people are misunderstanding, as what you're saying, that if they are misunderstood, maybe there is a possibility that anybody can be misunderstood. I can be misunderstood, you can be misunderstood. But then if you are misunderstood, the onus lies on the person who is misunderstood to come out and explain. Election commission is a constitutional body. Their main job is to build a connect with the media Their main job is to build a connect with the citizens. But what has Election Commission done in the last 1.5 months since the time the campaign has gathered steam? What have they done? They've stopped briefing the press. They've stopped talking to the citizens. The citizens who raise voices, they are being told that you are troublemongers, you raise doubts, you have no place to raise the doubt in a country like this. So, why will the Election Commission not be understood? One reason for that. Then, secondly, as far as the violations of the Model Code of Conduct are concerned, so many violations have happened. Prime Minister said he called Muslims infiltrators. He called them as the community जो कि सबसे ज्यादा बच्चे पैदा करती है. He talks about vote jihad. Yogi Adityanath says that I will read the Fatiha on the graves of the criminals. This kind of a language which is being used. Is Rajiv Kumar bothered to take action against the bigwigs, the top bosses? That is another instance where how can you repose faith in the Election Commission, and why will they not be understood?
Nilu,
Yes.
tell me, Nilu, my question is: can anybody take action against the current dispensation? Is any constitutional body, regardless, are they capable? Are they fit? Are they have got? Do they have the gumption to take action against the current dispensation?
See, if we are talking in context with the Election Commission, and sadly, the CEC Act, the new CEC Act under which the appointments were recently done, they grant immunity to the election commissioner. Immunity to the election commissioner, which means that he can get away with whatever he does. But the only fear is that that person, the CEC, will be judged in the People's Court. And People's Court is a very powerful court. A judge can be impeached, a president can be impeached. Maybe Rajiv Kumar will not get impeached or whatever, but he will be judged by the People's Court. And I tell you, and I can say it with 100% guarantee, Sujit, on your show, and with all the responsibility, that there was so much pressure yesterday from the citizens groups, from the civil society groups, from journalists, from the alternate media, that Rajiv Kumar was forced to disclose the polling data today. And I'll give you a little background on that. In Tamil Nadu was one of the first governments where MK Stalin compiled all the data of the Form 17C. Then there was Assam. There's another state where the regional officer compiled all the data of the 17C. Mamta Banerjee did the same. Yesterday, I was hearing S.Y. Qureshi, the former chief election commissioner. He was very, very hard hitting. He came down heavily on Rajiv Kumar, saying that what is he doing? He's my fellow peer, and how can he make these violations? So, there was so much of pressure on Rajiv Kumar, which is why you saw in the middle of today's six-phase polling, all of a sudden, there is a press release by the Election Commission which says that no, we are sharing the polling data. But to just to tell the viewers might get confused and they might think that look, Rajiv Kumar is trying to justify whatever he has done, or he's trying to remove the doubts on data manipulation. But let me tell you, just on the lines of what happened in the electoral bond case. Now, what happened in the electoral bond case? After all the hammer by the court, SBI was forced to reveal the data. Then what happened? The data matching was done, and that's how all the angles came out. That there was coercion, there was arm twisting, there was blackmailing, chanda chori, and all that angle came out. So similarly, in this particular case, the Form 17C has not been shared. It is just the absolute number of votes polled today. If you look at the data which has been shared by the Election Commission, it has 3 columns in it, and those 3 columns very clearly say, and I don't know, I think I shared it with you also, but
Yes,
that data,
yes.
yeah. So that data has the last 3 columns, which you will see. And that will tell you the exact story of what has been on Rajiv Kumar's mind. Now, if you look at the last 3 columns, the last 3 columns very clearly say the first column, the count of elector, then the vote percentage, and the count of votes. These 3 columns. So basically, Rajiv Kumar took out the poll percentage and gave it to everyone. And that's what everybody was questioning. Then why didn't you put out the absolute data? So Rajiv Kumar kept on denying, he kept on dealing, but all of a sudden, what happened? Was there some kind of a divine a divinity which came upon him and said that no, you reveal the data? No, he was under pressure. He realized that now he couldn't get away. So he went ahead and disclosed this data. And he had to do it because he knew that he would be judged by the people's court. I will give you a small example of what happened. Yesterday, I interviewed Anjali Bharadwaj, who's a transparency activist, and she's one of the petitioners in the Form 17C case. She was very clear that, if now this particular case has been postponed for after the vacation, it will be dealt by with a different bench altogether. But what will happen in between? That election commission will be bombarded with RTIs. There will be a people's movement, and this is exactly what Rajiv Kumar feared. He didn't want to be judged so negatively by the people's court, and this is the result what you see. So it's a victory in a way today, that the poll data which has been shared, it's a victory of the right to information, it's a victory of the people who've been fighting for this cause. So this is very, very evident. So it's very clear that deliberately he was sitting over a data which he could have easily shared. He could have easily shared. Not much was asked of election commission, but then also, it was like my way or the highway. But then ultimately, when he realized it was slipping out of his hand, so he had to share it today.
But Nilu, according to his press release, he says voter turnout data was always available with candidates 24 by 7 on voter turnout app for citizens at large. So he says,
Yes.
listen, you know what, the data is always available. So then where is the problem?
See, the point is, who reads the data very carefully? Who will read the data very carefully? A common man, ABC, who walks into the polling booth, do you think that he's going to open the Encore app of the Election Commission and check that, how many votes have been polled? The intricacies, the complexities will be read by the people in the civil society, by journalists, by alternate media, who, get the stink of something wrong is happening. It's only those people who will read. Otherwise, for others, Rajiv Kumar can get away by singing couplets like what he did. That, look, I'm doing everything what is right. So it's the people who get the stink. It's those people who will match the data, now with the 17C form, that whether at all everything is correct or not. Now, can Rajiv Kumar hold a press conference and say that, look, here are the figures, here is a form 17C, there is no data manipulation, and allow the journalist an open floor to ask questions? Will he do that? He hasn't done it in the past 1 month. If he's so
Before
worried.
I
Yes, Sujit,
before I
sorry.
come to the press conference, I want to also draw your attention to under Article 329B. Article 329B of the Constitution gives the right to the Election Commission to do what they want. Technically, I mean, long and short. ठीक है ना? They can take that decision from the beginning to the end of the elections, and the judiciary nor anybody else can interfere with their workings. ठीक है? So that gives him the right. Now. Nilu, if you bifurcate two issues, one issue is the model code of conduct, which definitely has been breached, and there are a lot of questions raised as to why the election commission has been a toothless tiger. Second are the numbers. Okay, numbers are the fact that numbers have gone up by 6%, 5.6%, 6%, 6.2%. So this was kind of concerning. So there are two different issues. Now let's tackle the first issue first. Model code of conduct, they have not been maintaining. They have not been, at least it didn't come through as fair to a common citizen. Tell me, Nilu, what is the core reason why they are not taking. No, when I say they are not taking a decision, they are not penalizing the defaulters. I mean it both ways. They have not defaulted. They have not penalized even Congress. It's not that they put somebody of Congress or somebody from India Alliance behind bars, or they have dismissed them from standing for elections, so on and so forth. So they have been inactive here. Why?
There is a deliberate inaction. It's a deliberate inaction because who stops him from taking action against Congress? You go ahead, you give a notice to Rahul Gandhi if he has said anything wrong. Go ahead and give a notice to Mallikarjun Kharge if he has said anything wrong. Go ahead and give a notice to Yogi Adityanath or Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Who stops them from doing that? But why are they not doing it? He's trying to do a balancing act to justify and also, in a way, favor the ruling party. And if anybody raises question, he will say that, see, I haven't taken action. I sent a notice to Mallikarjun Kharge also, and I sent a notice to JP Nadda also. But the point is, everybody at the end of the day will talk about only one thing: the manner in which the appointments have been done. So, how can the election commissioners go against the authorities who have appointed them? If I'm working for a channel, can I be seen as talking against my channel bosses or the CMD of the channel or the CEO of the channel? I can't do that. So it's similar, it's a similar thing with the with the election commissioners. No matter how much Prime Minister Modi says that no, it is an independent body, it's autonomous, but the autonomy has been taken away. You don't have, just for a namesake, you have an opposition leader sitting there. He's a sitting duck. Everybody, you saw what happened with Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary when he came out. He came out bristling with anger. But was he able to do anything? No, he was helpless because the composition of the select committee was such that, he didn't have a say at all. So why will the people not think like that? And why will Rajiv Kumar have the courage to give a direct notice to Prime Minister Modi for what he said in Banswara about Muslims? Today he says that India Alliance can go and do mujra for their vote bank. Now, is this a statement? Is this a kind of statement which is made by a prime minister? I mean, I don't want to get into that, but the point is that you need spine, you need courage. You've had examples like TN Session, who must not forget that he went to Madhya Pradesh and there was a poll which was cancelled. You have a precedent like that. Why can't we have a chief election commissioner like TN Session or JM Lingdo? Is it too much to ask for? Yes, it is too much to ask for now in the current times, given the framework in which the election commissioners have been appointed. Earlier, also, the people in the government used to be there. But the exclusion of CJI is just on the face of everyone. And that is the reason why people are talking. It's just not that people are talking, through their hats.
This is where I wanted this conversation to. I was trying to direct this conversation to this particular topic. Nilu, tell me, digressing a little, CGI was not involved in choosing the chief election commissioner. Wrong, because the opposition didn't have a choice. They were. He was outvoted 2 versus 1. So that's factual. But tell me, CGI was there, no, when CBI is chosen. CGI is there when other bodies are chosen. Kya hua? Are they independent constitutional authorities? Are they seen as independent constitutional bodies who are functioning independently without taking any notice of the government and their interventions?
Nobody can stop that. There are still questions raised on the CBI chief. There are still questions raised on the CBC chief. No one could stop that. But the composition will not be questioned, no? Like, because the CGI was there. But in the case of the election commissioners, we don't have a neutral voice like that of a CGI. And to top it all, the CGI is excluded, and then a law is being brought in to tell the world that, look, we don't need a CGI. What does one make of it? I mean, this is the biggest irony which can fall flat on a democracy in any democratic country.
Correct. Now, the CGI had an opportunity to rule on the 17C, Form 17C. He has pushed it to after the elections, after the results. What is the point of giving a decision after the results? Why do we see that kind of lethargy? Sorry,
See,
please.
just a slight correction, because CGI, the day he took up this Form 17C, he was very, very active. And he hauled up the election commission the same day. But what happened uh, with the yesterday's bench, the vacation bench, the composition of the bench changed. We had Justice Dipankar Datta, we had Justice S.C. Sharma, who thought that, and if I quote them, they very clearly said that, we will adopt a hands-on approach. We will not interrupt the process. We will not uh, interrupt the electoral exercise in the middle of this entire election exercise, because 5 phases are over, which is fair enough. You cannot blame the vacation bench. But then there was one opportunity yesterday where the bench could have acted firm. The bench could have been seen as standing by saving the democracy, saving the constitution, At least the bench could have been seen like that. And this again, I'm again telling the viewers who are watching, I'm not casting aspersions on the bench per se. I'm not casting personal aspersions on Justice Dipankar Datta or Justice S.C. Sharma. But the point is that there was one opportunity when we know that the constitution is under threat, when we know that the democracy is under threat. There was one opportunity yesterday where the courts could have assured the people by taking some kind of a stand, by telling that at least it wasn't a too tall a calling to share the Form 17C. But then they chose to adopt a hands on approach. But then again, I'm not blaming the judges again, because you will have to give credit to the fact that they heard the entire case. They said that we are not dismissing the matter and we will give it to another regular bench after the vacation. But the point is that here the precious period is lost, because here 5 phases are already over. Today, in fact, the sixth phase is over. Now just one phase is left. So if Form 17C would have been published, people still could have matched the data. Some kind of a trust could have been reposed. But that opportunity, I think, in my view, was lost. And if you look at the hearing yesterday, Sujit, it's very, very clear with a kind of language which Election Commission's lawyer uses. I mean, I've got some quotes written down with me because I did 3, 4 programs yesterday. And I was really, I mean, in my personal capacity, I was so furious looking at, and after hearing what Maninder Singh said. Maninder Singh says that this application is based on false allegations, suspicions. There is no reason for suspicion in elections. Why on earth will you or me or any other citizen in this country, doesn't he have the right to raise a suspicion? Can anyone not say that, look, something is wrong in the election? Or shall we just say that, no, Rajiv Kumar is a CC, everything is fine, everything is hunky-dory about what the election is, how the elections are happening? Does he expect us to do that? Does he expect civil society not to raise their voice at all, despite seeing that things are going wrong? And things are going wrong. There are not one instances, but many which we have already listed out. Voter turnout data, violations of the MCC, composition of the select committee, the way the appointments have happened, inaction over hate speeches. So these are just not one or two, but many, many examples where inaction is seen. So that's what we have been discussing. That Rajiv Kumar addresses press conferences with a poetic language, but address the concerns. And to top it all, I was just reminded 73 delegates from 23 countries are invited to observe our electoral process. And he says that we will build a golden bridge. If you look at the press release by the Election Commission, it says that we will build a golden bridge. People will come and see this democratic exercise in the country. What does that mean? You are not addressing the basic gray areas of how the elections are happening, and you're trying and putting up a facade that, look, elections are so good, we are conducting the biggest electoral exercise. What are they trying to tell us? We are trying to build a golden bridge on the tall mountain of a suspicion on which we are sitting, that there is so much of data manipulation. Again, no evidence to that, but if at all there is a suspicion, address those suspicions, address those doubts. Is it not Rajiv Kumar's responsibility to address those doubts? And he will take a cover and say that, no, 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 this is all wrong, these are troublemongers. Maninder Singh yesterday, Election Commission's lawyer, says that these are troublemongers. This is a factory which is churning out false allegations. So the people who are raising doubt in a democratic country like India are troublemongers. What kind of a language is that, Sujit?
Tell me, Nilu, don't you see a pattern here? See, you question the Prime Minister, you are anti-national. You ask questions to the Finance Minister, she almost she comes running behind you. You see, the point is this government per se has not been answering questions. And every time there is a pertaining question that has been put up, you're fired at. You're ridiculed. You are called anti-national. Number one. Number two, do you remember what the Attorney General had said? During electoral bonds, the Attorney General had said that why should people know? Why should a common man know which party is getting funded how much? So isn't this a pattern, Nilu? And I think the ECI is doing the same. Where is the difference?
See, I wouldn't go back too far. Look at what Jaishankar, the External Affairs Minister, said. He talks about a a Khan market gang and an international Khan market gang. He says, day before yesterday, I think I was reading his interview somewhere. I think he gave an interview and he says, international Khan market gang. Because, and this is, he's referring to the international media. He says that the Khan market gang's chips are down right now. They are not getting too much of viewership. So now the international Khan market is getting active. Now, the people who are raising doubts, you try and club them as a lobby, as a lobby, of troublemongers, of haters, or Khan market. You give them names, which clearly shows that this government is not ready to answer any question. Prime Minister has given multiple interviews. We will give credit to the fact that in the last 45 days, he's given about 50, 51 interviews. But the point is, has he answered any question the way it should have been answered on price rise, on inflation, on so many other issues? Were the questions taken as a supplementary question? No. First question was asked by the anchors. The second answer was given by the Prime Minister. And then the anchor moves on to the second topic. No supplementaries allowed. So it's a pre-scripted interview. Yes, we'll have to give credit to the fact that everybody had been raising allegations that Prime Minister is not giving interviews. This 2024 has been very different. Prime Minister has given abundant interviews with a proper script that, look, there is no place for supplementaries. So though he has given interviews in 2019, in 2014, yes, he gave a few interviews, but this time the barrage of interviews which he has given, but not a single supplementary taken. Not a single supplementary. So what would you say? And similar vein is adopted by the Election Commission. Rajiv Kumar
Correct.
is talking like the Prime Minister of India. His lawyer, Election Commission's lawyer, is talking like the Prime Minister of India inside the Supreme Court. He's telling the vacation bench that, look, there is no reason to doubt. There is no reason to suspect. Who on earth is Maninder Singh? He's a lawyer of the Election Commission of India. But he cannot stand in the open court and say that there is no room for suspicion in elections. Why not? That is the main question. I mean, are you going to question the people if they have questions in their minds about the elections? I mean, I have given you examples today of how I walked out of the polling booth. I spoke to the people, and everyone was talking about this fact कि भाई हमारी पर्ची ठीक से पड़ी है या नहीं पड़ी, पता नहीं हमारा वोट ठीक जगह गया है नहीं गया है. So people were not contented. People had doubts in their mind. So Rajiv Kumar needs to address this concern, but he will not. He doesn't want to.
Correct. So this is the point I was trying to make, that there has been a pattern, and Rajiv Kumar is no different than the way things have been in the last couple of last 2 decades, last two terms, which is 1 decade now. Also, Neelu, the fact that what I would beg to differ from you here is that, see, giving interviews is not a big thing. Who do you talk to, and what does the audience end of the day get with what you just spoke to all of us? You see, a lot of us have got some kind of information, some kind of questions, some kind of data about what is happening, and a lot of us, some kind of questions. All of our questions have been answered. That's what an interview is all about. Here, what answer did you get through all these interviews, except for in one particular interview I heard that he's not biological. He has got his, the spirit
See,
directly comes from.
the interview has been about a new revelation as far as Prime Minister is concerned. Sometimes he says कि मैं अविनाशी हूँ. I'm indestructible because I'm from Kashi. मैं अविनाशी हूँ क्योंकि मैं काशी से हूँ. I'm not a biological being. Now, these are totally, that's a premise which he is taking so that he doesn't have to answer the 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 pungent questions. Pungent questions are on price rise, saving democracy, saving constitution, inflation, unemployment. He takes umbrage by talking about divinity, by talking about some kind of an avatar I am. But I'm not trying to cast any personal aspersions on the Prime Minister. But the point is that if we are talking about interviews now, say for example, I mean, our contemporaries, our fellow beings or some of our bosses have been taking interviews. I'll give you a small example of one interview which Rajdeep took of Priyanka Gandhi. Now, that is one interview which I really liked in the sense. Now, I'll tell you why. Why that interview was so like an open floor. You ask any questions. He asked the toughest of questions from Priyanka Gandhi about where is she heading, what is his future. I mean, those were tricky questions to answer. But he asked in an easy language. She answered in an easy vein. The interview was over. Everybody enjoyed it and clapped at the end of the interview. But look at the interviews which are done by the Godi media channels. You will have a round table. You will have those black lights as if, some kind of a third degree treatment is being given. I mean, that's on a lighter vein, but look at the kind of setup which is being done. You can see the strained nerves of the anchors, whether it is Rahul Kaval, whether it is with so many anchors who've been taking the interviews. The female anchors are trained to ask that one question, Modi ji, aap kyun itna thakte nahi hai? I mean, that one line, it hits my head. Ki Modi ji, aap itna thakte kyun nahi hai? Oh God damn it. Any person who is in the middle of an election exercise, who is there to campaign for 18 hours a day, will not feel tired. They have enough to supplement themselves with juices, with dry fruits. They have to keep on going like we do. We do 8, 9 shows a day. What do? We keep eating, we go on one show, then move on to the next. That's how Modi is also working. But the anchors are so strained. You can see their nerves on their foreheads when they ask, Modi ji, aap itna thakte kyun nahi? I mean, are those the questions which people want to listen?
You
Modi ji,
know,
aap खाएंगे या चूस के खाएंगे? Are those the questions which people want to hear?
correct. My former colleague, he was an advertising creative director. I don't know if you remember this interview where he had asked him, कि भाई आप फकीर अब बने कि पहले से ही फकीर थे? और अच्छा, after that interview he became the chairman of censor board, by the way. So it's not that these interviews go unrewarded. ठीक है, चलो, let's move on to my next.
Big example, Sujit, is Akshay Kumar.
Of course. That arm story is is a legendary question. I think these are things that we should actually store and keep. It should be part of history. You see, the prime ministers were asked. Achha, let's come to the second part of the story. The second part, I wanted to ask you about the numbers, which we said. We spoke about the model code of conduct. Now let's talk about the numbers. See, what happens, Neelu? Explain to us in simple words what happens if the percentage differs, which means if there's an increase of 6.2%, 4%, 5%, some expert says that, bhaiya dekho, aisa hota hai. So, like you rightly said, in Rajdeep's show, something similar was told to him. Some say, nahi yaar, 1%, 2%, theek hai, because the last ye aane hain, numbers aane hain. But 5%, 6%, ye kya baat hui? Can you explain to us?
See, I mean, whatever I have covered on the ground, 5 to 6% ka jo ye difference hai na, this has to be understood in the backdrop of many extraneous factors and many sudden things which happen. Now, like what? I'll give you small examples. We can correlate. I think the viewers will easily understand. हमारी ईवीएम खराब हो गई. अब वो ईवीएम खराब पड़ी है 15 मिनट के लिए. All of a sudden, 2 hours के लिए लाइट चली जाती है. The electricity goes off for 2 hours, like what Supriya Sule pointed out in what happened in Baramati. Now, these are just recent examples. Then, VVPAT में कुछ problem हो गया. Now, VVPAT में कुछ problem हो गया. The Election Commission has an army of people to address these issues. But why you can't change? Why you cannot address these problems immediately? So, it gives you a room where you can manipulate things. Now, this figure which has come out at the end of 4 or 5 phases, some 1.07 lakh crore votes have been suddenly spiked up. They have not come out from thin air. No? I mean, there is some kind of a manipulation which has been done. As I told you, that at the end of the first phase, there was a delay of 11 days, which is not normal. 11 days. And if you don't believe me, speak to S.Y. Qureshi. I've been in touch with him on the phone, and he says that this is so abnormal. You can do so many things in those 11 days. You can manipulate in your own ways, and you know how to do it. So that was the story at the end of the first phase. At the end of the second phase, There was a delay of 6 days. At the end of the third phase, there was a delay of 4 days. Now, how does one explain this delay? Was Election Commission not supposed to come up, do a PC, explain that, look, your doubts are baseless? This is what we have done. I mean, they should have come out and explained, no?
Correct,
But
correct,
dal
correct.
kala hai, इसलिए नहीं बोल रहे. I mean, that's the only takeaway you can get.
Correct. Yesh Dubey, one of our viewers. Sujit ji, will you be taking questions? Please fire. We will ask Nilu to if she can answer them. So please do fire your questions. We will take them. Okay, Nilu. Another question that I wanted to ask you is when it comes to these numbers, and all of us would like to know this. As a layman, I want to know: can there be enough manipulation, or could there be a level of manipulation where the results could change? Is that possible? Which means, in simple words, if an X number of seats happen for BJP or for any party, can somebody say that this happened because of manipulation? Is that possible?
See, I think large scale manipulation, I don't think can happen. Because large scale manipulation, if it is happening on such a large scale, it will be caught. And if it is caught, then of course, then people in the ruling dispensation will have to answer. Election Commission will have lots to answer. But the small manipulations of like 1 or 2% also, if they are happening, India is like a huge country with a billion population, with more than like 1.4 billion people. So what does 1 or 2% mean? I mean, it's like a hera fairy of like thousands and thousands of votes. I mean, just look at the figure which has come out: 1.07 crore votes in the last four phases. If a manipulation has been done, or if the votes have been spiked up because of some reasons, what does that mean? That it's a manipulation of about 28 to 29,000 votes per constituency. Is that a small number? I mean, one has to explain, no? Data is so sacrosanct, and governments are formed, governments fall by a single vote. So that is the power of a single vote, and one needs to explain. So much of answering has to be done by Rajiv Kumar, and I'm sorry, Election Commission should have done multiple press conferences by this time and explained the people. Things
So
would have
if
been much
one
better then.
focuses on creating a narrative that a particular party is winning, and then you get into some kind of a vote manipulation. I'm not saying therefore it is happening. I'm just asking you, if you get into a certain kind of manipulation, wouldn't that make sense? So you have in one place you're creating a narrative that the party is winning, and then another place you are winning. So wouldn't that be possible? I'm saying, wouldn't that be possible? I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying, wouldn't that be possible?
See, today in the morning, what happened? If you've seen Sambit Patra's video, Sambit Patra was heard by the media saying that हमारा तो ईवीएम काम नहीं कर रहा है, बहुत जगह ईवीएम काम नहीं कर रहा है. I will ask the administration to take action now. For a person like Sambit Patra is crying foul. He's saying that kuch to gadbad hai, kya ho raha hai? I'm going to tell the people. I will ask the administration. There's some kind of force which is working. So if Sambit Patra can say this, then the opposition, which is on such a weak footing, why will they not say it? And will they not be justified if they say that? If a
But
person like Sambit Patra, yeah, yes, Sujit, sorry.
sorry, no. The point is, just to add on to that, you see, 17C, if it is important to the opposition, so is it important to the government? Because it could anybody could manipulate it, and anyway it could be manipulated, not just for the government. It could be against the government also. Then why is BJP not asking for 17C?
That's what the mystery is. 17C. If you've seen elections of before 2024, there was not so much of awareness about 17C. In fact, I've spoken to many parties where leaders have been saying that sometimes the parties don't bother to collect the 17C form. Many of the polling agents who are sitting outside the booths, they don't have the awareness. They leave without collecting this form 17C. But gradually, what has happened is that people have realized that 17C will give you an idea of the number of votes which have been polled. And then, when the votes are counted on the counting day, you will then come to know the actual difference. If the difference is huge, then you can make out that there was some kind of a bungling or manipulation. So now, that is why this rising awareness about 17C, to the extent that this matter has gone to the Supreme Court now. So, this is in a sense victory of citizens' awareness. And you will have to give that credit to the civil society, to the citizen activists who have been raising this issue, spreading this awareness, organizations like Association for Democratic Reforms, who have been drilling this thing in, into the minds of the political parties, that looks Form 17C is sacrosanct. And which is why I'm again repeating on your program today that though the absolute polling data is out, but the activists, the opposition will have to continue to ask for Form 17C. Not that this polling data is out and they stop thinking about Form 17C, because until and unless the Form 17C is given, it's published, you will not be able to match up the polling data which has been given today by the Election Commission. And until unless that is done, you will not be able to come to know the true picture. So, how much of manipulation, the quantum of manipulation, one can arrive at only once you match this data, the absolute votes polled with the data which is given on the Form 17C.
So I guess that answers your question, Yash, because that's the question he asked you, Neelu. What he wanted to know from you is, was this revelation or because of ADR and people like their efforts? So that answers his question. And
Just
Neelu,
a
let me
little
ask you. Yeah,
Just one point
please,
to add
please,
here,
please.
specifically to the question which was asked by the viewer, that it's not, of course, there was a pressure because of the case. There were a lot of expectations from yesterday's case, but then now this case has been postponed. But let me tell you, after the court hearing yesterday was over, all the citizen groups had started talking about the fact that now we individually will file RTIs with the Election Commission, so that individually everyone starts getting Form 17C. So imagine if that would have happened, Election Commission would have been bombarded with RTIs. And that is just a kind of a people's movement. And that, I think, something was, which Rajiv Kumar or maybe the Election Commission allegedly got worried. And then, he was forced to bring out these figures. And then there were 2 3 other factors which we have discussed earlier, that, Tamil Nadu has already compiled the data of Form 17C. Mamta has already done it. Assam, the regional state officer over there, the electoral officer, did it. So now the pressure is building on Rajiv Kumar that, look, if we don't do it, then there'll be a lot of questions asked. So yes, it is a pressure because of the people and because of the way the opposition parties are compiling the data. So Form 17C is is the key to this election now.
Tell me, Neelu, last question. Where do you think this election is going? You expected this question, didn't you?
Sujit, to be honest, I don't want to hazard any guess right now because it's so difficult. But all what we can say is at the moment, and this would be the safest line to take, that things on the ground don't look very comfortable for the ruling dispensation. There is a momentum where people are asking questions, where people are trying to fix the accountability. They are asking about price rise. They don't want to give any benefit of doubt. The citizens don't want to give any benefit of doubt to Modi this time, like what they did in 2019. 2019 was an umbrella election where you had that big narrative, the meta narrative of Pulwama, and everything you could brush aside, with that big narrative of nationalism. But this time, with the lack of this meta narrative and with the issues becoming so local, the anger is very, very palpable on the ground. And this is something which probably neither Prime Minister Modi would have expected and neither the BJP would have expected. There's so much of anger against the local MPs as well. So this is not a good sign. And this clearly shows that, somewhere the sand is shifting. Now, how much of this sand will really shift in whose favor? That's really something difficult to gauge at this point of time, because you don't know. I mean, the quantum is very, very difficult to gauge at this point of time. But yes, things don't look very, very comfortable. Definitely 2024 is not a cakewalk for BJP. This I can say for sure.
My last question, I know I said it was my last, but one more minute and I want to ask you one more question, is what if on the 4th we see BJP with 300 plus seats? What message is that sending? is the message that possibly we were all exaggerating, everything that has been happening is all right, and India has absolutely accepted whatever is happening, they're actually happy with whatever is happening, there's no inflation, there's actually no unemployment? Is that what we should believe, or what is that? What would be your analysis?
See, just few days are left for 4th June. If BJP wins 310 or 350 plus seats, so we'll have to say that it's Modi ki guarantee worked. And all this while we've been saying that there is no Modi ki guarantee, there is no BJP ki guarantee, it's Modi ki guarantee which is working. So then the nation will have to be prepared for uh, the kind of party which they have voted for, and the nation will be in for tough times, in the sense that you have a leader who's coming back as a prime minister for the third time, maybe with not that a huge majority, but then he's fought against the anti-incumbency of 2 terms, and then he returns back with a third term. He will have the mandate to do anything. Anything means maybe the nation will not have the right to protest. And this is not fear mongering. This is a fact which happens in other democratic nations as well, and which have seen the fascist forces working. The right to protest falling out, right to speech, media's freedom will be lost. All these are very genuine concerns. If BJP comes back with a brute majority of 350 plus or maybe 400 plus, we do not know. We do not know how the manipulations are happening. There's no evidence to show that. But God forbid if that happens, I don't know. We'll sing bhajans, apparently. We'll say good.
You take care, Nilu, and thank you so much for your time. It's
Thank
always
you.
it's such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sujit, so much. Always a pleasure. Thank you.